Hey real world climbers, I'm glad you clicked on this video. This video is all about holds made out of real rock. So I did not make these holds out of real rock. I actually got these when my son's gymnastics gym was building a new wall. I actually designed and built their new wall, and so they wanted to get rid of their real rock holds and use traditional plastic holds, and so I got to have these chunks of real rock. So I don't know who made them, but we're gonna go ahead and try and throw them on this 30-degree wall back here, and I'm just gonna kind of share my thoughts on holds that are made out of rock you find out in the wilderness. So as you can see, I have a few of these bigger chunk ones, and then I've got a bunch more that are just kind of crimpy, and it looks like whoever made them just had like a stone cutting saw, stone cutting blade, and cut a smooth edge on them. Some of the smaller crimp ones have like this fiberglass adhered to it, so I'm guessing they did that to make it a nice flat flush edge as well. So these are also made with nice convenient drill holes for the cap head bolts, and there is a washer that looks like has adhesive holding in there as well. So whoever made these really knew what they were doing as far as making them specifically for climbing walls, and the bolts that we use on traditional climbing walls, and like I said, even making sure that they have nice flush backs, whether it's the real rock that was cut there or this adhered fiberglass like we see here. I've seen a lot of real rock holds online in different groups and things like that, and at first I was pretty skeptical of it, and I think I still would be maybe a little bit skeptical, not necessarily of the medium of rock, but more so on how they are being made. So these ones do have some sharp edges, and so that's something you want to just be careful of as far as if this is going to be a training device that you use a lot. You don't necessarily want it to be just like real rock outside, because you don't want to be training on something sharp over and over and over again. So you'll see with some of the ones that I'm going to put on the wall here that I personally am going to avoid certain angles and even just avoid certain features of the rock because of the lack of ergonomics. But what I will say about holds made out of real rock is they feel awesome. I suppose it does depend on what type of rock they're made out of. I'm not even sure what type of rock these are, maybe a granite or gneiss or something like that. The texture is really good. The cool to the touch is really good, and so I think the realism of it and the realism of the feel is nice. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with the full realism when it's on the wall. For instance, this one here, I'm gonna set it up as a pinch. It's a nice kind of narrow pinch the way it's built, and maybe it's got some slopey edges on it too. But am I really gonna have, you know, a knob this big in real rock? I'm not sure that that would exist necessarily in a real climb, but at least the feel on my fingers would be the same. So like I've shown, these ones are made for a bolt hole, and that's where I think it can be a little bit challenging. I think these ones were done well in that they made sure to make it nice and flat on the back, and the holes all are very perpendicular. So when I screw this down here, it's going to sit flush and it's going to hold tight. But a lot of the real rock holds that I see online are set up for screw holes. So I actually think that that would be very good as well, because you get multiple points of attachment and you don't have to worry about it spinning per se. You maybe don't have to tighten it down quite so hard. So I think that the screw ones could be good as well, provided that they do a nice job of getting a nice flat back on it. So one of the things I want to point out is just that, again, this is real rock and it's how it was found in nature. But some of these edges, like this one right here, I'm actually not really wanting to grab that on my wall when I'm training, and so I'm going to make sure that I orient it in some more of the gentler angles. And so that's something, whether you're making your own rock holds or you're getting them from somewhere online from one of these companies that's making them, is to look at the shapes. I think that a lot of the crimps would be really good as long as there's not a catch edge in the back. I've seen some good pinches and things like that, but some of the ones that are like sharper, I would just be really careful of. I keep bringing this one back out here too as well, but you know, the profile of that sticks out quite far, and so I'm personally not going to want to set this on my wall somewhere that I'm probably going to even get to it as a foot. So this is probably going to go higher up on my wall, and here's why. Because if my foot happens to slip off of this, which it's a pretty big hold, so maybe it won't, but if it does, I just feel like the amount that this protrudes out from the wall is going to be like a magnet for my shins to scrape up against. I even have a couple of these that are just kind of like a little bit knobbier ones, and they're smaller, which I'm gonna probably not even use for hands. I'm gonna put these down low for feet, like very low, so that again, I don't scrape my shins on it. If I pop off of it, I'm just gonna hit the ground first. So that's another thing to think about with real rock holds, is how much do they protrude out from the wall? And when they protrude, are they sharp? And so personally, I'm going to be really, really careful on where I put these on the wall because of my shins. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on real rock holds, and so throw those in the comments down below. Have you found somebody that makes really good ones? Have you been able to make your own, and what tools and things like that? I don't personally have the tools for cutting stone and for drilling into stone and things like that, you know, wet saws and all that stuff. I'm not making my own, but I happen to have these. And I would also consider buying real rock holds because I like how they feel, but I would want to make sure that they have those features that I talked about before. So why don't we throw some of these real rock holds up on the 30-degree wall and try them out for ourselves. So I'm going to start off with these three that I'm pretty sure I'm going to use as just footholds. So this one's a really tiny one with sharp-ish edges, and so I don't really want to grab this with my hand and risk, you know, ripping myself open. And then these two that I mentioned earlier that are a little bit more bulbous and sharp, and I'm going to put those down low. So I might put this one a little bit higher as a foot, but these two I'm definitely going to put low. And then next I'm going to do these two bigger handholds, because again they stick out a bunch and I don't really probably want them to be too low where I would use them as a foot. So like for sure this pinchy one I'm going to put up pretty high. This one here I think is kind of interesting because it's got this edge over here, but it's also got an edge over here, so I could set it up like a pinch if I want to, but I might kind of set it up as something where I can do two different edges. So this one I think is going to be interesting to set, but again I'm going to put it up high enough that I'm not really going to use it with my feet. I think I'd like to pinch somewhere up over here. So maybe even like all the way up here. This side is a little bit sharper, so I might not want to grab that. I might be a little more careful, so I might set it actually like this. Oh yeah, that's kind of cool. So I'm going to set it like that. Oh yeah, I like that. So now I want to find a spot for this one here. Alright, so now all I have left is those crimps. So I'm having a little bit of a hard time deciding where I want to put this one, because when it sits flush it has this whole protruding like knob thing. And like I said, I'm not really a big fan of like those protrusions, and so this one here is a little bit trickier on deciding where it goes, because I kind of want to set it in a way that I'm not going to accidentally catch myself on that. Ooh, so maybe this one will go way up high. There's a T-knot way up here that might actually make it so that this is protected. I can still technically get my hand between here, but I don't think I really will in real life. I like this one because it's kind of got this in-cut edge here. It's going to be like a nice in-cut crimp. So I'm going to kind of feature this one more central. Yeah, like that. So now I want to find my starting holds. Okay, cool. That's a big first move though. So I got 4 left. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm thinking like one here, one there, one there. So I want to make it so that you got to go left and then right. So I'm going to make this one like a side pull. So I forgot I had these big dogs in here too, so I might have to set a different route for them. So last one up high. I think I'm going to use this one here. Again, it protrudes a little bit more than the others, so I wouldn't want it for a foot. So this last one is going to go up high. And then I'm not going to use a rock hold for the finish of this route. I'll do one of my other holds that's already up there. Alright, so I've got one more hold. It's kind of in-cut on one side and sloping on the other side. So I'm going to see if I can do something where it starts on these other ones but uses these big ones as well. So that's all the rock holds on there. I'm not sure what kind of routes we'll get out of it. I have kind of an idea for that crimpy one, and I think that will be a cool crimpy route with the real rock holds. I want to see what kind of funky moves I can do getting into these pinches here as well. So I'm going to put my climbing shoes on and we're going to climb. Alright, so now we're going to try the crimpy real rock route. You know what I didn't think of? There's no feet in between here. Ah! Oh, there is one. This one right here. Forgot it was that one. Well, we did not get a flash. I haven't really warmed up either, so maybe doing crimps isn't a good idea without warming up. The fingers. I should be careful. Would that suck to injure myself on my own video? It's kind of slopey. So I'm just going to turn this one a little bit. Ever so slightly. I can always turn it back if I want to make it hard again. And it's still pretty hard because this is pretty slopey actually. Just trying up the top here. I think we'll go to this blue one here. It's actually pretty cool. Like, I like the feeling of it, and the holds do feel like hard. Like, they feel hard, different than plastic. So I think it'll be good for the skin to get used to that feeling. This is a hard move because it's kind of slopey down. Nice little back step there. Ooh. Whew. So it doesn't feel super hard for me because I really like crimps and I feel like crimps are one of my strengths. One thing I can do is I can kind of tweak the holds and just twist them a little bit and make it a little bit harder too. But I kind of like that one. So now I'm going to experiment with some of the holds, trying to utilize these two bigger guys. So I think my idea for this one is I'm going to start crossed here. I'm going to come out to this one, go up left hand, and then up right hand to that pinch. And then out here to this one. And then maybe high feet and straight up, skipping the one over there. What do you think of that?
I'll make it hard because it's tangled. Dad, why did you use your heel?
That was cool.
You used your heel.
That was a cool move.
You used your heel.
I know, it's called a heel hook.
I thought you were supposed to use your toes.
Could have totally done that. Yeah, that was pretty fun. Alright, so that's my synopsis on real rock holds. I'm going to leave these up here for a while and climb on them. And again, just a reminder, in the comments down below, let me know what you think about making holds out of real rocks. And I did a video just a little bit ago about where to find holds at reasonable prices. And this might fit into that category, so go ahead and check out this video right here. And if you're liking this content and getting good things out of it, I would love it if you would click the chains on the subscribe button join this community, and we'll see you in future videos.